Hey Orchinistas! Welcome back to the channel Forever Orchids. My name is Tracy and I want to do a little spotlight today of this plant here. This is a plant that I got from a place that I volunteer at, and they let me borrow the plants to put them in an orchid show. And I just want to do a little spotlight on this plant. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Now this particular plant here, both of them, the flowers have kind of been through wear and tear. So they're not looking at their full best. They were much better looking in the show. I'll put up a little bit of video of the plants here. But these plants were recently divided by me and another volunteer. We did not realize that they were in sheath with buds. And we divided the plant, and the blooms still went ahead and came on out, and absolutely spectacular. Now, let me tell you what this is. The tag reads Cattleya purpurata, and it is tags kind of, some of the letters are worn off, so I'm not sure how I pronounce this, but it's Hygrometers is the cultivar name, the clonal name, crossed with a purpurata carmencita. The first one that I mentioned, that tells me that that's from H&R Nurseries because they are in Hawaii in that city, Haihumana. I am probably not pronouncing that correctly. And so anyway, and the tag actually says H&R Nurseries on the back. They are actually, that's the street name that they're on. They are, so anyway, we don't need to keep getting wrapped up in that. This has been reclassified. Instead of a Cattleya, taxonomists have now changed it to a Cattleya. So this is Cattleya purpurata. And I'm going to say this is probably considered a coerulea, a blue. The flowers have faded just a little bit, but it definitely has that blue color. So I absolutely love this plant. Now, let me tell you, at the show, we had both of them in there. I do not know why the judges chose the way they chose on this particular plants. This one won second place. This one didn't get any award. So I don't know why. You know, it could be yellow sheath here. I have no idea. It could have been the placement in the display. One was lit. Maybe one was a little bit further back. I just don't know why they chose the way they did. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Cattleya purpurata. And before I get into its culture and that, let me tell you what we did when we divided it. So we divided the plant, and I brought this one here, the back bulbs, as far back to the back of the pot as I could get. And this is the growth, the new growth that's has bloomed. So I expect new growth to come here, and I've got plenty of room in the front here of the pot for this plant. I've already got new roots coming out in the plant. And this one was fairly well staked. We did stake up for travel purposes. I staked up the flowers so that they weren't going to be flopping too bad. And then this one, this division here, really needed a little bit of help. So we ended up tying it up really, really well with some green wire. Just that floral green wire. It's still drooping a little bit the way, you know, I'd rather it be upright. But what we did is over the course, oops, you can't see me, over the course of several weeks, because a lot of this particular growth, the roots were outside the old pot, we ended up putting media in the bottom of the pot, putting the orchid on, putting a little bit of media around the roots, tying it to the stake here, and tying it into some holes that are in the pot to stabilize the plant until new roots could establish it in the pot. And then what we did is over the course of several weeks, we added bark, sphagnum moss, and perlite mixture. We've added that back in so that those aerial roots can now adjust to being in media. If we had filled this whole thing up day one, we might have lost a lot of roots and this may not have bloomed. Most people tell you, do not repot an orchid when it is in bloom. Well, we didn't catch it. We didn't catch that there were buds down in these sheaths here until we had divided it and saw what we had done. So there's hope. I'm here to tell you it can be done, and you don't have to lose the flowers if you would just be patient in the way you pot up your plant. Okay. All right. So we've talked about what this is. Now we can just look at the flowers themselves, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the plant itself. This is a spotlight for Cattleya, used to be called Laelia, but it is now Cattleya purpurata. That is, and what I'm doing here is a lot of this information I'm getting out of the classic Cattleyas updated second edition that was published by the Chadwicks. Okay, it's a great book. So anyway, this is without doubt, one of the finest of cultivated orchids. It has large, showy flowers in one of the widest range of color forms, with more named varieties than any other Cattleya species. It has hundreds and hundreds of named varieties. Now, this is a plant that is native to Brazil, and it is an epiphytic orchid that grows high in the treetops. That's a clue right there as to the culture. This is going to need a lot of sunlight. It can take a lot of sunlight. The large flowers typically are 6 to 8 inches across. There's usually 4 or 5 of them on a flower spike. The lavender color in the lip can be brilliant, royal purple, often mixed with tones of red. The color can appear in the sepals and petals, kind of giving it like a flame look. Alrighty, let's get into the culture of Cattleya purpurata. It's going to require the same cultural requirements as other large flowered Cattleya species. It'll benefit from lots of sun, moving air, temperatures at night. The low will be 58 to 60. Now, I have a Vanda outside, and I will bring it indoors if the nighttime temperatures are below 60. And I'm doing kind of the same with some of the Cattleyas that I have outside right now. So this definitely could go outside in the spring and the summer, as long as your nighttime temperatures are not below 58 or 60. Now, your daytime temperature is 80 to 85 during the day. I would think that if you are getting hotter in your summer than 80 to 85 on most days, it's going to require a lot more water and air movement. The species usually begins sending up new growths in the late summer and early autumn in the United States, and these growths will be completed by mid-January or early February. Buds will begin to form in the sheath after a short rest period, and the plants will flower from late May into June. We're currently at the middle of May as of the airing of this, or not the airing, but the taping of this video. And give Laelia purpurata a few weeks of rest after it flowers by minimizing the watering, but don't let those pseudobulbs shrivel too much. Once the plant begins to grow, it requires lots of water, particularly as the growth elongates beyond 6 inches. Cattleya purpurata can develop some really large pseudobulbs, often exceeding 20 inches from the base of the pseudobulb to the tip of the leaf if it is grown very well. So that's a quick little cultural thing about the plants here. Now, what I just read talked about how tall they could be. So I thought what we could do is measure the pseudobulb that is currently in bloom on this plant that won the second place award. And the pseudobulb itself is about 8.5 inches. You go and add that leaf, and you're at 18.5 on this particular pseudobulb right here. By the time you add the flowers spike to it, then we're about 21 inches on there. So this is going to be what is classified as a standard Cattleya. Cattleyas you'll hear, you can have miniature Cattleyas, compact Cattleyas, and your standard Cattleya. So your standard just means it's going to be much bigger, much taller. These are more difficult to have indoors. Typically indoors, you just don't have the space for these. You could grow them in a southern window, provided that you're not growing them, like try to grow them under lights or on a shelf. Just put them in a southern window, tall window, and you should be good to go on these. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a quick little spotlight video on Cattleya purpurata while I had this one in bloom, even though it's been through the ringer at being at a show with lack of humidity, lack of water over the last several days. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Do you have Laelia purpurata, now called Cattleya purpurata? Do you have those? What's your favorite color form? If you have it, and how do you grow it? I'm quite sure that other orchinistas would like to read the comments and learn a little about how maybe you grow your orchid. And until next time, guys, happy orchid growing.